All right, welcome to IT Trendsetters. Today, Ben, this is my first IT Trendsetters with you, I think. Actually,
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure it is. Pete, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from?
Sure. Pete Boergermann, I'm Director of Information Security at C&N Bank, located in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, and responsible for the information security program for the bank.
It looks like you've been there for a long time.
Yeah, about 25 years now, this June, actually.
Awesome. Well, congrats. You've probably seen a lot out there. Ben?
Yep, I've seen quite a few things.
Ben, Star Wars?
Star Wars, kids, I don't know. Their toys are theirs. At least I can pretend that.
Awesome.
Big fan.
All right. Well, so let's kick off this conversation. So, Pete, let's talk a little bit about your responsibilities and how you've worked with SynerComm over the years.
Sure. Yeah. Some of my responsibilities include conducting annual pen and vulnerability testing. And last year, SynerComm kind of helped me out of a bind. I had a vendor set up, and last year was, I guess, quite a lot of vendors got overwhelmed with pen and vulnerability testing, and found you guys on just a simple Google search, and I reached out to Ben and were able to quickly get something going. Actually, I think it was a record quickly get something going, wasn't it, Ben? It was pretty quick. I mean, you guys are
I think
there.
I told you at least 10 weeks and we did it in 3. So
Yeah. And not only that, but you guys did a phenomenal job. I mean, you just didn't do the pen test to check a box. You dug in. I mean, it hurt a little bit on my side, but you did a great job.
Do you remember what you searched in Google?
I think I was just looking for pen and vulnerability testing is really what it came down to. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So when you're evaluating a new partnership, and obviously cybersecurity and compliance issues should not be taken lightly. What is the process that's going through your head as hey, is this the right company for me to partner with?
Yeah, so I got a couple things. So like I said, I've been doing this a number of years. I think I have probably worked with maybe 10 or 12 companies that have done pen and vulnerability testing over the years, and some of them are good and some of them are didn't go so well. And so I'm really looking for a company that knows what they're doing, has been there, done it before, and is going to put some time into it and not just run an ESA scan and give me the results that are not readable by a human. So I'm looking for somebody who's going to work with us, and as they learn things, they're going to share that knowledge with us at the same time. So it's really going to be a learning experience, not just a pen test. And that's what SynerComm provided for us.
Awesome. So Ben, tell me a little bit about kind of how it sounded like Pete came in and said, I need all this and I need it all yesterday. Tell me, what did you have to do to kind of align to make all that happen?
yeah, Pete came in and he reached out to us, and it really was an understanding of, hey, we're in a bind because of our normal partners are booked out through the year. And this was August. And we were getting pretty close. There was, with everything with the pandemic, everyone was pretty well backed up, but we were able to take a peek at what he had and, customize that statement of work to meet his needs. And like Pete said, he wasn't looking for a checkbox for compliance. He was looking for a full test. So based on everything within his network, we came back with, a number that met what our expectations might be for his size. And as luck would have it, we did have an opening come up fairly soon in there. But, part of that was working with the team and saying, hey, just because we're, 10, 12 weeks out, I don't want to sit and say, we're not ready to squeeze this in. I think that openness on their side to tackle as soon as we possibly could really allowed for the team to pivot a little bit from that initial November timeline to say, hey, actually, we can tackle this in September. Let's go. So it was understanding his need, where it might fit, and really the capability on our side to make sure that, we're agile enough to take care of that.
So, so Pete, when you started this project, I mean, obviously, kind of switching vendors quickly and having a good perspective of what to expect. Where do you see kind of like the relationship going?
Yeah, so we were, myself and my staff were pretty impressed with the results of the testing. We were impressed with the team as we got to know them a little bit better, get to understand what their skill sets, their experience, and things like that were. So it kind of had, I think from there, it opened up in some other opportunities, some work that I need done. And one of those things was a fairly large project with getting some Palo Altos installed in our cloud environment. And so I gave Ben a call and said, hey, what do you think? And he says, sure, we can do that. And it kind of went from there.
Nice. So I guess being the director of information security, you're probably getting solicited all the time from all sorts of vendors out there. What is the most funny solicitation you've gotten recently?
Oh, so I had one a couple of years ago where a company called me, and they were a DNS company. And the guy's selling a service, we will provide DNS services for you. I said, okay. He says, you enter in a new DNS entry for a domain or subdomain, and we can propagate it throughout the entire internet in mere minutes. I said, really? Mere minutes, the entire internet propagated? Yep, mere minutes. I said, yeah, not interested. Thanks for the call.
The old overpromise, underdeliver strategy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
The thing to get the foot in the door.
Yeah.
So, so Ben, let's talk a little bit about when you guys got into implementation. Yeah, I know your project management team, takes over at that point, but how did it work on the back end? And my guess is, it's not just an opening, right? Like, it wasn't just an opening. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be put into process. I've done enough talks with SynerComm customers and vendors to know that there's a lot to the sausage making to make it actually work. So, let me hear your perspective on that.
They always say no one wants to see how the sausage is made, but I find that's probably not entirely true. There's a lot to be said about the process. And, to pivot to where we're at with the Palo and the AWS project, a lot of it relied on, what Dylan did from the pen test standpoint, and it helped solidify that relationship and that trust a little bit to actually open up and have those conversations. So then Pete, like you said, he came to me and said, well, we need to look at installing a Palo Alto firewall in our AWS solution. What do you got? Do you guys have those sort of capabilities? And we kind of had a discussion around what SynerComm can do, because it is another side of our house besides the pen test. And we talked about, the cloud services, the partnerships with Palo Alto, the things that those guys have done as a CPSP or certified Palo service provider. And some of those certifications really lend credence to what the team can do. So we sat down with Aaron, kind of did an understanding, talk about what C&N knows about, AWS and Palo environment, and kind of how we could help them get over that hump and really help guide them towards what a great solution it can be and how to configure it properly. So we had quite a few, probably 4 or 5 different calls, I think, with Aaron Howell and team to talk through what that looks like before we even really came to a decision of, yes, let's make this a thing and move forward, and put all the pen to paper, got everything together, worked through with Pete and team, made an understanding of what that effort looks like, and got to a point where it becomes a win for everybody involved. And now you guys are probably almost complete with the implementation at this point in time.
We're close. We're very close. Yep.
So Pete, a bank of your size and just the overall requirements that you have as, for information security is big. And my guess is not one vendor or one strategic partner can solve that problem for you. And so you're probably juggling multiple strategic partners. How do you kind of manage the overlap, or how do you manage where, like SynerComm does a lot, but they don't do everything, right? And so how do you bring in kind of the partner that can solve that piece of the puzzle for you? How do you manage that?
So yeah, looking literally defining the need. What are we trying to achieve? And does it meet with the strategic objectives of the company? And then I like to get into the weeds a little bit and really, dig in and lay it out as far as, we need this installed and we needed to do this. Here's the outcome. Here's the ROI for this investment that we're about to do. And then at that point, then I reach out to the vendor and I really like to have some specific requests for them, because I know for a vendor to do a good job, you got to have all the information you need to be successful. So the more information that I can share, I think the better the outcome. And so that's what I wanted to do with you guys.
Awesome. Ben, anything about kind of the project that you want to highlight here?
And talking a little bit about we're expanding on what Pete just said, having those benchmarks and those deliverables allows us to address, his biggest pains and concerns, because they come from a place of challenge that they're dealing with in the bank. So us knowing what they want to tackle allows us to really, put a good focus on it and understand what it is and make sure that, yes, it is something that's within our realm that we can take care of. And Pete and I have had pretty open conversations for the last couple of months around these. And I always kind of told him I'll be the first one to tell you if it's something we can't do, because I don't want to get in that situation where we say, yeah, absolutely, we can do it. And then, we fall on our face and everybody's left with a, not so happy taste in their mouth. So we'd much rather maintain that relationship. And I think, having that clear scope and picture of where we want to go with it allows our team to really understand the true focus and make sure that it is a win for them. Because at the end of the day, Pete, you've got to turn around and talk to everybody else on your team and say, look what we did, and this is who we did it with. Or you have to turn around and go, well, this is who we did it with, and this is why it didn't work. And it reflects poorly on you. And that's something that, we hold near and dear to make sure that we are supporting you and helping you move forward with the team that you need. It's not just us involved at the end of the day.
Yeah, I have quite an involved process behind the scenes that I don't share with you guys as far as picking the vendors and going through and, I'm looking at experience, skill sets, staff you have, how long you've been in business, all those factors that really helps make that decision. So, like you said, I want to find somebody that knows what they're doing, is excited about what they're doing, and is going to do a great job for us.
So, Pete, your role comes with a lot, probably a lot on your shoulders. There's a lot of risk that you're protecting the bank against. What keeps you up at night?
Oh, what keeps me up? I think the first thing is a switch that didn't get switched. Literally, how many security settings are in Microsoft 365, or how many security settings are in various other products? And, and we have, a couple hundred vendors we deal with and all those different security settings. Yeah, that's one thing right there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Great. Well, I appreciate you all being on IT Trendsetters. Have a great day.